Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to yield.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman yield for a question.
I yield.
Franco, Mr. Morrissey. The gentleman yields.
I would ask the gentleman, Mr. Speaker, I'd ask the gentleman from Albemarle if he would agree that there's a difference between fraud associated with eligibility to vote versus fraud associated with showing up at the voting booth and misrepresenting oneself.
I'd say, gentlemen, they both steal the precious right to vote from somebody. Either they take your specific vote away, which we had brought up in subcommittee here. A lady came and testified on my bill, which is not the bill before us, but it was a photo ID bill, that she discovered that she had voted when she was out of the state and had not voted. That is different than someone who presents at the polls and votes, but I think they both accomplish the same end.
The gentleman yield for another question.
I yield.
Gentleman yield. Gentleman yields.
If that is so, could the gentleman tell the body why the governor last year advocated, encouraged, and supported a bill that allowed people to show up and give their lease or rental agreement, their pay stub, their worker's slip, other non-photo IDs, but this year, 11 months later or 10 months later, all of a sudden it's not good. What's the difference? What has changed?
I'd say, the gentleman, there was actually a bill in this House that would have accomplished some of these same goals from the gentleman from Danville. A number of us supported it. It was not included in the final budget, so it was not a bill that the gentleman saw on the floor. But this is actually the same project under a different specific application. That was a bill that would have done it through DMV. This bill does it through the General Registrar's offices.
The gentleman yield for a final question.
Gentleman yield.
I yield. Yes, sir.
The gentleman from Fairfax, Delegate Albo, has referred to his brother several times of getting up in New York, getting a registration card. Can the gentleman educate this body, in over the 11 million votes cast in the last 4 years, has there been one incident where somebody went up and purported to be somebody who they were not, as opposed to your incident before where the same person tried to vote twice? Again, is there a single incident where somebody purported to be somebody whom they weren't?
I'd say, the gentleman, the lady in subcommittee, someone presented to be her and voted her vote, and it wasn't her. The gentleman who was coming up to vote and ran away in Albemarle County, I presume, was not going to come up and say, hey, I'm Joe Smith and I voted 4 hours ago. I presume he was coming up with different identification. As the gentleman's aware, I'm sure, there's a video on the internet by a campaign operative who said, if you want to vote for somebody, what you do is forge a utility bill. With those bases, we do think that for something as precious as the vote, I want my vote counted. I'm sure the gentleman wants his vote counted. The gentle lady from Richmond spoke about a family member. I'm sure she wants his vote counted. The issue would be, why are we letting that vote be offset by somebody who is not who they say they are, who are not eligible to vote? And I would say that's the basis for this bill. Thank you.